breaks. Everything sort of worked out well. A little bit confusing when you get to the stadium, trying to get into the stadium, and I think for the Tartan Army, who've probably been trying to get that earlier kickoff, having to wait until 9 p.m. kickoff, was never going to be easy for them to find where the entrance point was in a stadium anyway. It was a bit wild and a bit chaotic trying to get in, but once you were inside the stadium, everything was perfect. The way it felt, the energy, the light shows, the displays, the music, it was all matched to each international federation, so the supporters were well and truly locked in. The Haiti supporters were terrific, absolutely brilliant. Outside the stadium, inside the stadium, the songs, the battles between the two, just having a bit of comedy with one another, and then just on the anticipation, waiting for the kickoff to just take place. The whole procession actually, Adam, leading up to it, with the circle and then having the national anthem where you're sort of wrapped around the centre circle, I thought was fantastic. And then, of course, when the Flower of Scotland started belting out, the tears started to roll down a little bit. You know, I was born in the United States of America and grew up with a Scottish mother in Scotland. It was a special moment for me to have my family there with our ties to Scotland, all in Scotland jerseys. I had the family clan McLaughlin kilt on, which was outstanding, but the overall experience from FIFA was top-notch. I would have paid double. And I paid an extortionate amount of money to be there. I would have paid double.
There was a lot of Scotland fans who probably did pay double.
Yeah. And that was just the alcohol.
No, but it was incredible. Just when we were here in the studio with Jen Beattie, she was getting emotional watching it. And she literally kept saying, Adam, I wish I would have gone. Yeah. I wish I would have gone.
Do you know what? I actually sent Jen a message during the warm-up to the game. All the Scottish anthems were going off, and I sent her a message.
Where are you?
No,
I'm in the bloody studio.
I knew she wasn't going to be there because I'd asked her previously, it's like, are you going? And I was surprised when Jen said no. Obviously not surprised when I figured out she was working. So it would be good to have a Scot in the studio, so I was kind of relieved it wasn't me who was there. So happy and thanks for Jen being in attendance. I did send her a couple of videos just so that she could be a part of the moment as well, and hopefully she enjoyed that. She certainly enjoyed the result.
Something we said as well, I think this was a good example of where, you know, there has been a lot of discussion about increasing the number of teams to 48 from what we had previously at a World Cup. What does that mean for the competition? But it does give nations, I mean, Scotland and Haiti have played World Cups before, but not often. They're not qualifying for every single one. It's given those nations an opportunity to get back to the big show, and I think we saw from the atmosphere yesterday that these are the kind of countries that it means so much to them.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. And I think you've also heard that little press release recently with criticism obviously coming in from UEFA about the quality of these fixtures. And listen, make of it what you will. World Cups of generations have always slowly started to increase because of financial implications and trying to make more money or earn more money. This is no doubt the place where FIFA will make the most revenue it's ever seen in history because absolutely everything was expensive and extortionate, but you paid it because you were living in the moment. But the fact that Haiti were there, and obviously we have our producer Brice who was in attendance in the game as well. I was there texting through the game. We had Whitty and Stefano in attendance at the game as well, enjoying Scotland being back in a World Cup for 28 years. I was at the previous one, by the way, in '98. Yes, I'm that old. But at the same time, for Haiti to be there, I was hoping that they would get a moment of celebration. Just being in attendance for them was good enough. The joy in the face, the way the fans integrated was absolutely spectacular. And I do think you're right. I think we see it extend more and more to give opportunity. I mean, you would have loved to have competed in a World Cup as well. What would that have meant to you, you know? And I certainly felt what it meant to a lot of Scots in attendance last night. There was hugging going on, maybe a few kisses going on, a lot of slaughter in the English going on. That's okay with me. English father, don't worry, English father, and work next to an Englishman as well.
And some very, very sore heads this morning, I am sure. Let's turn our attentions to Sunday's action. We've had some great games today. It has just finished between Ivory Coast and Ecuador in Philadelphia. 1-0, a really entertaining game. Manchester United's Amad Diallo with a late goal to win it and claim all 3 points in Group E for Ivory Coast. A really entertaining game. Lots of chances for Ecuador, particularly in the first half, but they couldn't find a way to score. And I think in the end, Ivory Coast were the ones who found that moment of quality through an experienced player, Amad Diallo. We were talking at half-time, when's he going to come onto the pitch? He got his opportunity and he scored the goal. And that's what the game needed really for both sides, wasn't it?
Yeah, really. Emers Faye deserves a lot of credit. We were debating back and forth on, was it the right decision not to start him? Well, it definitely looks like it was the right decision not to start him, because when he came in, he gave that extra bit of quality, and the word we were using, composure in the final third, the way he took the strike. That's his 7th goal for Les Elephants, and he looked like he'd been playing with the national team for years. This is a player, Nama Diallo, that when you look at the players who have come before him, the key players for Cote d'Ivoire, I liken him to maybe a Gervinho with a bit more quality in the final third, a bit more savviness to him. Gervinho, a player who I played against in the AFCON qualifiers, a speedster that could burn.
Great player, shocking
a player who at different times probably needed a couple of hair transplants. But in all honesty,
he looked like a spider.
A player who was inconsistent in the final third. We saw it both at Arsenal, at Roma at different times, and with the national team. But full credit to Ahmad for coming up with a big moment. You said it. This game was going to end with a goal. And Cote d'Ivoire, they're the match winners.
I also said it was a tactical game, right? And obviously this was previous, and while we were watching the game and communicating what was going to happen in this game, halftime was entertaining. Ecuador had a lot of quality, but no real shots on target, nothing on target actually in the first 45 minutes. Ivory Coast had the only shot on target, thanks to Eli Wahi. But we did have that suspect, and you called it, by the way, Michael, as well. I'll give you credit for this one. Amad Diallo, why is he on the bench? You were questioning why he didn't start the game. Well, now you found out the reason, right? Yeah. This is a long tournament where tactically you've got to approach the game, how to basically get that positive move on the chessboard. How do you get an advantage? If this game had finished in a draw, I think both nations would have been delighted because you've both got to play Curaçao, 4 points, you're both through into the next round, most likely. But this is a game that also created a bit of history. Do you want to know what that history is? This is the first World Cup game that we have ever seen in our lifetimes with 3 times it's hit off the post or the crossbar by a team that's went on to lose the game. Ecuador struck the post or the crossbar 3 times in this game. They looked dangerous. They looked like they were going to score, probably deserved to score. And now an incredible run all the way back to 2024. 19 games it is now unbeaten. 19 games gone after that victory.
There were parallels, and I know you're not going to like to hear this, but to the game we watched yesterday, Scotland against Haiti. I know Scotland won the game and experience got them over the line after they scored the goal through John McGinn. But Haiti created chances in that game. They had opportunities in front of goal. Maybe not quite as many as Ecuador today, but we've seen 2 teams there who got the ball into dangerous areas. They've got good players with an opportunity to score a goal who weren't able to find the back of the net. And I think that's recreated it. At a World Cup, you have to be clinical. You have to take your chances.
Yeah, and look, a lot of Ecuadorian fans, they've been wondering what is life after Enner Valencia going to look like. I'm kind of worried in the final third for Ecuador.
Sure.
To the answer to that question, because a player that I think in the first half showed glimpses of what he could be. We're going to see him on our network for Venezia. Maybe he gets a big move somewhere else. Is John Yeboah.
Yeah.
He had a couple of dangerous moments where he cuts in on his left foot, puts one off the bar. But it's just this inconsistency in the final third and this lack of ruthlessness. We celebrate Ecuador because of their defensive prowess, the best defensive side in South American football during qualifications. But if you look at the back half of qualifiers, I was always wondering, what would life be like if they weren't playing at Quito all the time? A lot of the big results came at home in qualification.
Sure.
I just wonder if Sebastian Bekacheche needs to roll the dice a bit more. One player that didn't even get a sniff earlier in the game, why is Kendry Páez not fixturing when you're going against it and you're not creating anything in the second half?
Go ahead.
One subject quickly I wanted to get on before we go to break is, and we were talking about this before we came on air, is how the change and increase in the number of teams has affected the way that teams are going about the group stages. Because before, you had to finish inside the top 2 in your group to ensure qualification. You had groups of death, you had all of that. Whereas now there is no group of death, really. I mean, I think it's 8 of the 12 groups will have a third place team going through to the next round. And I think that has affected the way that teams are approaching this. We saw this from Brazil and Morocco yesterday. A draw kind of suited both teams there, where you would never have said that in previous World Cups. Do you think teams now, Ian, are kind of figuring out a way to approach this tournament that they would have done differently in the past?
I think there's inevitably going to be that scenario where teams, and I think both of these nations would have been happy with a point knowing that Curaçao's in the division. It depends who else is in the league, right? If in the group stage, who's connected with you? If Curaçao's in there and you believe you're going to beat them, most teams would think that they've got an opportunity of beating them, then yes, right? Because I think Ecuador and Ivory Coast both would have said, okay, a draw here, we take a point, you get 3 points against Curaçao, and maybe we get something from Germany to battle it out for second place. But we both go through in 4 points, right? That is inevitably the goal here. Get the 4 points and you're through. I think the teams that will be battling in that closing stages of the 8 that will qualify will be on 3 points. So, yes, tactically it does change it. But this was not a 0-0 game, by the way. This was a game that was entertaining, had action, but little quality in the final third. Final pass, final cross, final shot, deserted both nations. More often it was Ecuador. But to Mike Olahood's point, and the way he actually teed this up, this was going to be about substitutions and making sure that you had an opportunity with Amad Diallo to have an impact in this game. Boney came off the bench as well, had an impact off this game. Kusunu came off the bench, and within a minute, the team went on to score that goal. Well done to Wilfred Singo, by the way. He was the one who bombed forward under a bit of pressure. We've seen that high pressure, got past him, and then picked up his head. That's what we were talking about so many times in this game. No composure here. Finally, an experienced player having a bit of composure, picking up his head and finding a talented youngster to be the difference maker. And I'm so happy, and I know you are as well, but I'm not getting that goal.
Yeah, no, Michael Carrick was probably spilling his tea or his gin or whatever he's drinking at home when he saw that goal. It was a class finish.
Yeah, it'll probably be his Newcastle Brown Ale, knowing that part of the world. Time for a short break here on Golazo Matchnight 48 Nations. We've got plenty more reaction to Ivory Coast victory against Ecuador next.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me. Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events. It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days, but the entire nation is hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion!
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
If I look crazy, it's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. But they're not like us. We need to get out of here now.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And relive the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it?
Can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
I lost my dad and my aunt.
What aren't you telling me?
I'll never know what you've gone through, but I'm sure your dad will want you to be happy.
I will not lose the company that my husband started. I want success. Get it for me.
This business will bleed you dry.
Dad, I'm playing on the house's money now.
No, you're playing with the devil's money.
What's the plan here?
Gonna blow!
Yeah, well, I'm just getting started.
Landman. All episodes now streaming only on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Golazo Matchnight 48 Nations. We've just watched Ivory Coast beat Ecuador 1-0 in Philadelphia in Group E. Manchester United's Amad Diallo with a 90th minute goal to send their fans wild, and they join Germany on 3 points after one game. It is Germany, of course, who topped the group with much better goal difference courtesy of their 7-1 victory earlier against Curacao. So they're in number 1 position, Ivory Coast second, and then Ecuador and Curacao both on 0 points so far there in Group E. For more, let's chat to our African football correspondent Mbizo Zamani, who joins us again. And Mbizo, great to see you. In the end, as we said, it was just that little bit of quality from Amad Diallo and Ivory Coast that was the difference between these two sides. What did you see when you watched the game?
Yeah, absolutely, but not just him. I think when you look at the difference in the benches, I mean, these are two teams for me, who are equal, especially in the starting lineup during the course of the game. It was like a heavyweight boxing match. At one time, one team was in the ascendancy, and then shortly after, it was the other. And so it was a delightful watch because, I mean, these were two teams that could really go at each other, who have top quality players across the board. Ivory Coast has this habit of being a little bit, engaging in a little self-sabotage. And there was a lot of mistakes that they made, unprompted, unforced, that gave, I think, Ecuador a lot of their opportunities, which they went on and squandered. But again, Ivory Coast had some of their opportunities as well. And so it was a wonderful game to watch. But I think the difference in the quality of the benches and the players that could come off the bench and make a difference in the game was huge. And again, I think while Ecuador will feel themselves hard done by, I think they missed out on their chances, and Ivory Coast was able to bury theirs.
And Bizo, it's always great to see you. Let's take a look at some of the player ratings when it comes to the lineups and how this really shaped out, because it was a competitive game. But as Adam pointed out, there was some interesting team selections here. Me and Michael have been going back and forth about Cote d'Ivoire and their starting 11. Not having Amad Diallo a part of that starting 11. Why do you think that was? Obviously strong players to have coming off the bench, but why do you think the decision was made to leave Diallo, Borni, Zangare obviously on the bench? Kusunu came on in the closing stages. And your overall thoughts on the 11 that was picked?
I'll start with the last question there. I think that the overall 11 for me was actually quite good, minus Pepe. I thought Nicolas Pepe had a poor performance. I thought he missed out on a number of shooting opportunities, which he could have done better. And he also didn't quite find some key passes that I think would have been critical for Ivory Coast in the first half. And as a result, they seemed to lack in their creativity. So for me, the player that I wouldn't have started with, the only player that I think was probably the wrong decision, was Pepe, and I thought he should have come off a lot earlier. To leave out Amad Diallo, I'm not sure if that was the correct decision. It turned out okay, but for me, you should be having Yan Diomande on one side and Amad Diallo on the other, and what you do elsewhere, I think is almost tantamount to irrelevant. But the two sentiments for me are spectacular. I mean, you can't really do better than those two tanks in the middle of the field who can go both ways, defensively and offensively. Great eye for a pass, but can also win the ball back. The only issue with them was their discipline. The fact that they were on 2 yellow cards so early, they were trying, genuinely to be, deliberately rather is the word I'm looking for, to be hardcore on that Ecuadorian midfield, on Ener Valencia, to try to put them off of their game. And I think it works to a certain degree, but then the risk was the yellow cards, and I think that held them back for being harder in the midfield for the entirety of the game, which also gave Ecuador some of their opportunities. But otherwise, I thought it was good decisions, wonderful decisions off the bench to change the game. So for me, I'm satisfied with the Ivorian performance here. Perhaps, like you guys said, a little bit more clinical in the final third. That's probably the only thing that lacked, but not the personnel.
And Bizo, we have to talk about the elephant or les elephants in the room in Yan Diomande. He was cooking today. And if you're Pierre Nkapie, if he comes to the Premier League, you're going to be chasing shadows. He absolutely burned him. You were texting me throughout the show. I couldn't pick up my phone, but now I can. I can show the entire world what Bizo is texting me. What did you make of his performance? Because we were talking about it. There's a sense of the price tag just went up if you're Liverpool or even PSG.
Yeah. The price tag went up on every touch, didn't it? Every time he got the ball. I mean, this is a player that looks like he's absolutely total control of his opponent. He does what he wants when he feels like. He can come into the inside. He can go out wide. He can cross. He can shoot. He can dribble. He's strong. He's quick. He's smart. I mean, what doesn't he have? I mean, perhaps the only weakness, maybe actually, is the finishing. But the way he creates chances, the way he glides by his opponents. I don't know if Nkapie is going to sleep ever again. And unfortunately for him, after he had to chase Yan Diomande all game, Yan Diomande then went to the other side, and then Amad Diallo is the one that he had to then play against on his side. So I feel badly for Nkapie because he is a player that I like, that I admire. But they cooked him tonight. I mean, it was a proper Ivorian dish of acheke on a plate, and it was delightful to consume.
37 touches in the opposition box Ivory Coast had in this game. 12 of them came from Yan Diomande. And I think he's going to get better at him. Every single time he's going to improve, and I think he's going to continue to put more and more numbers behind the price tag that someone's going to have to pay to be able to get him away from Leipzig. But he's a special talent right there. I'm so glad Michael pointed that out there, and well said, Mbizo.
Great player. Mbizo, just wanted to ask you one quick question more generally about African football. We've seen a couple of the African nations so far at the World Cup. Given how Morocco did at the last World Cup in Qatar, you know, surprising everybody, they were a great team, weren't they? Got all the way to the semi-finals before they lost to France. Has that given a belief, you know, to the continent generally that they can maybe punch above their weight in these World Cups, that has given these teams the belief that, okay, we need to set our sights a bit further than just getting out of the group? We can get much, much further than that?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and you know, it's not just the recent performances of these giants that you mentioned at World Cup, but it's also the performances of team across the board at AFCON. It's also the fact that African football is becoming this popularly world-consumed, global product that just shows the players how important they are. If you look at these teams, these are players in many of these teams: Senegal, Ivory Coast, Morocco. They are stars in their teams. All over the place in Europe, right? So you're looking at guys who are accustomed to playing against the best, and I wouldn't even say that they're necessarily punching above their weight, at least in a contemporary fashion. But if you think historically, yes, okay. But the quality of the teams, for me, are the same. If you look at Morocco, for example, they outplayed Brazil, and not by accident. I mean, you know, these are players who know what they're doing, who are confident. I mean, obviously, they have the respective understanding that their history is a bit shorter than some of these leviathans, your Germanys, right? Your Frances, of course, your Brazils, but they can compete. They know that because they do it week in, week out in Europe. They are superior to those players in Europe, so there's no reason why they can't add their little bits of talent into the collective, each piece of the puzzle, creating the masterpiece that we've seen today, and frankly, the masterpiece that we saw from Morocco.
Yeah, and Mbizo, good result for Ivory Coast. First 3 points for an African side at this World Cup. Thanks for joining us, and we will chat to you soon, I'm sure, on the show. We've got plenty more to come on Golazo Matchnight, 48 nations. Do stay with us in the next couple of minutes. We'll be back with plenty more after this short break.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me. Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events. It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days. With the entire nation hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion!
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
If I look crazy, it's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. But they're not like us. We need to get out of here. Now.
Open your eyes. Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And we live the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it?
Tell me, can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
I lost my dad in my aunt.
What aren't you telling me?
I'll never know what you've gone through, but I'm sure your dad will want you to be happy.
I will not lose the company that my husband started. I want success. Get it for me.
This business will bleed you dry.
Dad, I'm playing on the house's money now.
No, you're playing with the devil's money.
What's the plan here?
Gonna blow!
Yeah, well, I'm just getting started.
Landman. All episodes now streaming only on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Golazo Matchnight, 48 nations. Just a recap of what we've seen on Sunday at the World Cup, the first Sunday of the tournament. In Group E, Germany thrashed Curacao 7-1, although there was a few moments in the game where they were a little bit worried, having scored an early goal to make it 1-0. They were pegged back by Curacao, the smallest nation at this year's World Cup, to make it 1-1, and then they scored 6 unanswered goals to win 7-1. A brilliant game in Group F between Netherlands and Japan. We knew this would be a difficult one for the Netherlands, and it proved to be that. They led twice, but in the end, Japan managed to snatch a 2-2 draw with a late goal to get the draw in that one. And then in Group E, the same group as Germany and Curacao, Ivory Coast left it late. Amad Diallo scoring that winner 1-0 against Ecuador. We're going to talk about Germany. Ian, I'll come to you first. How ominous was this performance? I mentioned there was a little bit of a hiccup, Curacao getting it back level early on in the game, but should we read too much into this Germany performance against a team like Curacao?
Statement performance, I'm thinking. I mean, this is the FIFA World Cup, right? You only play against the opposition that's right in front of you. Curacao proved that they've got players that can play. I think 5 or 6 of their starting 11 players play in top divisions around the world, top 5 European leagues, that is. But Germany, with it being said that this is not the most talented generation of German players, you have to in some way be able to get the fans and the media on your side. And the only way to do it is to not make these games difficult. You have to grab it very quickly and absolutely slam the hammer down. And Germany did that very early on in this game. I don't care about the 1-1. That happens. We've all played against good teams who have got back into a game or scored again a goal against you. It can happen through quality. It can happen through a mistake. As long as you know in those games that moments will happen, you're in a good phase, you're going to create chances, and eventually you'll win the game. Number of great individual performances came out of this game, though. I mean, standout performances. Nico Schlotterbeck stood out to me. Yeah. Fabulous goal for him. Proud of the performance from him. I mean, I've been hammering this guy for a while, by the way. But over the last year, I've had to apologise to him time and time again because his performances continue to get better and better and better. I know we're going to talk Musiala and, of course, Florian Wirtz, but for me, Schlotterbeck was probably player of the match. He was outstanding. And then, of course, it gets better. On the bench, Dennis Undav came off the bench, got his goal. He was a problem when he came off the bench. They got weapons. And I think we can clearly see that Nagelsmann has this team under the thumb a little bit. Every player's running a little harder, more energetic, creating. They're wanting to entertain. This was a little bit of a look at what Germany can be like. I know the opposition wasn't great, Adam. I get it. And it doesn't really matter. You can only play the team that's in front of you. But Germany smacked them.
Well, and particularly given recently in the last couple of World Cups, Germany haven't lived up to expectations. Yeah. Today, they did live up to expectations. Everyone was expecting Germany to beat Curacao and beat them handily. Maybe not quite as well as they did. So they did manage to live up to expectation. I think the last couple of World Cups, they didn't win their first game in the group. So this was many boxes ticked in the game, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've always thought that this World Cup is a bit of image repair for the German national team. Yeah. And there was a lot of, I feel like the German public as a whole, they were heard today because a lot of the outcries overall was over the likes of Leon Goretzka. Is he actually going to start him at the World Cup? I thought he was spot on by putting Mecha in the midfield. And let's be honest, if he didn't get injured, we'd be talking about Mecha as being one of the best midfielders in the Bundesliga this season. Yep. You look at so many of the performances. I'm going to challenge that Nico Schlotterbeck. I really think he was outstanding. Joshua Kimmich, the brains of the operation, he's definitely in the conversation.
He's almost consistent, right? He's an 8 out of 10 every game.
Yeah.
So.
Let's turn to club football now. We've got some news to bring you that broke earlier on today. Real Madrid have reportedly reached a surprise agreement for Chelsea and Spain left-back Marc Cucurella for a fee of over $69 million. Cucurella, who's, of course, over here preparing for Spain's opener against Cape Verde in the World Cup, will join the club following the conclusion of the tournament. Cucurella made over 160 appearances for Chelsea, winning the FIFA Club World Cup and UEFA Conference League in his time there. Cucurella's transfer marks another move in a busy summer for Real Madrid under new manager Jose Mourinho. Here's what David Ornstein said, confirming the deal earlier on. Is a little bit of paperwork to be done, but we expect it to be confirmed over the next week or so. And it continues, Ian, a lot of moves over the summer so far. We've been saying for the last, 6 months that Real Madrid need to sort this team out. Jose's coming in, they've sorted the dugout out, and now they look to be signing plenty of big players.
Yeah, if you look at the business they did over the last couple of seasons, it's been very interesting. Obviously, look at the positionals. This is where it's most important, with Huijsen, Carreras coming in, Mastantuono, Alexander-Arnold. What have they done? They've gone and signed players that play in very similar positions right there. So, intriguing. Cucurella on that left-hand side, especially with Carreras in that position. I thought he was good. Obviously, coming over from Portuguese football was never going to be easy going to Real Madrid. But I think sometimes when the performances are bad and you win no trophies, criticism comes, you need a bit of experience. And Cucurella is a big name, right? Let's make no mistake about it. He's a big name, he's a good player, he's consistent, he's a bit weird, right? The way he plays, bobbles around with a weird haircut and all that. But I actually quite like him as a player. He's very consistent. And his productivity at Chelsea's continued to be better and better and become a more important player. But to go to Real Madrid now, it's a massive statement for someone like him. Obviously playing for the Spanish national team, that's a huge decision, especially in a time of need. Real Madrid need match winners. They need players who can step in and make them a better team, full stop. Has he improved that position? Yes. Has he improved the team? I don't know. I think that's out there for debate. Where did Chelsea get in the Premier League standings? Did they get in a European place, Michael? Remind me?
9.
Not 9, right? So they're not there. So I just think that these moves that we're seeing from Real Madrid are hints of desperation. There is experience coming in through the door, which I really do like. That's what's going to improve them. But these are players who are coming off the back of interesting seasons. Konate's coming off the back of a season where he was horrific at Liverpool Football Club. Cucurella's coming in after Chelsea not achieving anything controversial, multiple coaching changes. So I find it very interesting, the player perspective that they're going to. The only one I do agree with would be Dumfries. I mean, that's a great signing.
That's a great signing. Are you surprised that Cucurella, given that Xabi Alonso's joining Chelsea, obviously there's the Spanish connection there. He had his frustration with what happened with Enzo Maresca at the club. Are you surprised he didn't stick around to work with Xabi Alonso?
No, I'm not surprised one bit, and I don't think he'll be the last Chelsea player to leave Chelsea Football Club this summer. There's a lot of players. There's one that plays for Argentina that's desperate for a move out of the club. This Chelsea project, it's a failing project so far. Xabi Alonso could change that, but I don't see it unless there's a cultural reset. And when you talk about cultural resets, that's what I see with Real Madrid. Of the back line, I counted the goals. They gave up 84 goals last campaign, 38 of them in La Liga. That is shocking. 84 goals for Real Madrid, a team and a club that's usually the gold standard in European football. If you're Jose Mourinho and if you're Florentino Perez, it's a statement of intent to the players that were there last season that you cannot be complacent because your days are numbered if you are.
Are you excited about this Real Madrid team, though? With these signings coming in through the door, it still doesn't move the needle for me. I've criticised Real Madrid over recent years, and I basically said they're not going to win anything last year, and they didn't. I actually think they're going to not win anything again next year. That team, even with the new additions, and Cucurella included, doesn't excite me enough to say that teams will be really scared of this Real Madrid. Mbappe's one, Vinny Jr.'s another one. Those are world-class players. But the rest of the team needs to really gain some sort of chemistry. And Mourinho's got a hell of a job on his hands to get this group of players united to be a competitive team. Mike, I honestly believe that they don't win another trophy next year.
Does Cucurella play?
I'm asking you that question.
You're asking me? I thought you were asking Adam.
No, you.
Look, I still think it's early days. I think right now with the current squad, absolutely agree with you. They get a player like Enzo Fernandez, it changes the whole equation for me. You look at the most important position that they're in need of, right? It's not the number 9 position. You can argue whether Kylian Mbappe is the main man or not. He's scoring a ton of goals. The number 1 player, the number 1 position they never replaced is Toni Kroos.
I agree with you.
And if they can go get a player like Enzo Fernandez, then we're having a different conversation.
And what Enzo does, being that world-class player, Adam, I think he makes everybody else better around him as well. I mean, there's been a lot of problem with Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Bellingham, injuries, lack of concern, discipline, problems, right? Yeah. But I actually think that the point you're making there with Enzo Fernandez, or that type of a player, that sort of influential player, those defensive players we're just talking about, those offensive players, every single one of them become better. So I'm not too excited about it right now. It's a step in the right direction and job and work to be done by Mourinho. But I agree with Michael. If Enzo walks in through that door, the whole thing sort of changes and looks in a much more positive direction. but how much money you got to be able to spend?
Yeah, you get the feeling that they're not done yet as well. I mean, they're making this kind of statement early in the transfer window. They've got plenty of time to sign many more players.
I thought Erling Haaland was coming through the door. I thought Alvarez was coming through the door.
That's how you lose presidential elections.
We're settling for Cucurella through the door. Do you know what I mean? Like, Real Madrid.
I think Jose Mourinho would take some of those players. Time for a short break here on Golazo Matchnight 48 Nations. Plenty more when we return in a couple of minutes.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me. Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events. It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days. But the entire nation is hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion.
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
If I look crazy, it's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. But they're not like us. We need to get out of here now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And relive the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it?
Tell me, can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
I lost my dad and my aunt.
What aren't you telling me?
I'll never know what you've gone through, but I'm sure your dad will want you to be happy.
I will not lose the company that my husband started. I want success. Get it for me.
This business will bleed you dry.
Dad, I'm playing on the house's money now.
No, you're playing with the devil's money.
What's the plan here?
Gotta blow!
Yeah, well, I'm just getting started.
Landman. All episodes now streaming only on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Golazo Matchnight 48 Nations. Not long to go now until the fourth match of the day here on Sunday. It's back to Mexico we go for Sweden against Tunisia in Group F from Monterrey. Same group as the Netherlands and Japan, who played out a 2-2 draw earlier. Lineups are in for us. Ian, what have Sweden gone for?
I'll go for a few here. Christopher Nordfeldt starts in goals. The 36-year-old plays for AIK Stockholm. Over 100 appearances. He brings a great deal of experience. Experience is what they have at centre-back position now with Lindelof. He plays at Aston Villa. 31-year-old now. Played 284 games for Manchester United across all competitions previously, and 76 caps now for Sweden. In that midfield position, I'm going to skip past the four in the middle and go to Benjamin Nygren. He won the Scottish double with Glasgow Celtic this season, his first season in Scottish football. He'll shoot from absolutely anywhere, Adam. This guy got 16 goals in the Scottish Prem from 92 shots taken, many of them from 30 yards, 40 yards, and some from even 50 yards. Up top is where the true quality comes from the Swedish team. Alexander Isak, he certainly should be fresh, Michael Hood, after missing out on 33 games he missed for Liverpool this season, which is a ridiculous number. He got 4 goals in 22 appearances. I'm not finished with my lineup, so I'm going to finish it. Victor Gyökeres, good first season for him at Arsenal. He got 21 21 goals in 55 games across all competitions. He is a proper finisher.
Yeah, and over for Tunisia, the Carthage Eagles come in a bit amidst of controversy and managerial changes, which leads to Sabri Lamouche naming this side. There's some dual internationals or dual nationals getting the nod in this lineup. One of them is Abdel Shamak. This is his 5th cap for Tunisia. Actually made his debut in March against Haiti, who are also in the World Cup. Another dual national to keep an eye on is Omar Rekic. He was actually a former Dutch under-18 international. He's also making a small number of caps. Look for him to be just the fulcrum and the anchor in the midfield or in the back line. And in the midfield, the player that I know you know very well is Elias Skady. World Cup experience, the Frankfurt midfielder is the metronome. He's definitely the captain of the team and definitely the one who's going to get stuck in on big tackles. And speaking of big moments for the Carthage Eagles, Hannibal Mejbri, relegated with Burnley. He's a player who can come out with a special moment, and he's going to have a special pass for the likes of Elias Saad, who actually played for your team, St. Pauli.
Correct. What's the name of the team again?
The Carthage Eagles.
Carthage
Eagles.
I didn't know how to say it, so I was just thankful that you were doing the Tunisia lineup because I wanted to say it, but I was like, it's too complicated for me that one.
Carthage is very gladiator, isn't it? One of the fighters.
During the Roman Empire.
Yeah, there we go. Absolutely. Like a history lesson on the show. Sweden, Ian, they're a team where they have got some unbelievable talent, some of the most expensive players in world football, particularly going forward, and we'll talk about them later on. But they also have some holes in this team. There are some weaknesses that the other teams in the group are going to try and expose.
Yeah, there's no doubt that Sweden under Graham Potter, I think, have improved, right? And I think having the Englishman there come in and take this job, sign a long-term contract, speak Swedish in his first press conference, impressed everybody. And he actually changed their fortunes around, right? Yeah. They weren't scoring goals. They weren't healthy, which was a big problem for them, but they weren't scoring goals. They were conceding too many opportunities and not winning enough games to be able to qualify. The actual qualification process through UEFA now gives you a second chance, does it more than anything else. And bringing Graham Potter in to be able to qualify for a World Cup, the job that he has done has been truly exceptional. So to answer your question, Potter's been the difference as far as I'm concerned. He's got experience along the back line. He in alongside Lindelof, excellent goalkeeper, is 35 years old to go. He played over 100 times for his country, so there's no reason why they shouldn't be strong enough to compete to get out of this group. I actually think now they're at the dance, Michael. I think that Sweden can cause a few problems. I honestly think the other teams in this group are in big trouble because Sweden in this game will absolutely go for all 3 points because they got 2 hitmen up top who are proper strikers.
You've both picked out your key players or keys to this game. Who have you gone for from Sweden, Michael?
Yeah, it's the man that you mentioned, Ben Nygren. I thought he was outstanding for Celtic, and a big reason why, even with the debacle that was Wilfred Nancy, he looked like him and Kieran Tierney were the only 2 players that looked bought in with the disaster that Celtic were. And I think he was actually recently named Celtic Player of the Season as well. I love his technical ability, his quality, but it's his vision, the way to the final pass. And when you play as an attacking midfielder, as a midfielder overall, when you have 2 thoroughbreds up top in Alexander Isak and Viktor Gyökeres, it's about the way of the pass, it's about the timing of the runs, and rewarding attacking players of the highest quality with the right decisions and the right timing.
Ian, as for Tunisia, who's your key player for them in this game?
Yeah, it's a newcomer to the squad, and Rani Khedira. Great deal of experience, and obviously we know the name Khedira from his brother who actually won the World Cup in 2014 with Germany. Listen, Rani Khedira plays for Union Berlin, started and played 32 games for them in the last Bundesliga season and actually scored 5 goals from midfield. Watch out for him pushing forward from that midfield position to be a real difference maker. To Mike's point about dual nationals and multinationals playing, he's eligible to play through Tunisia because of his Tunisian father, and actually just decided to play for Tunisia only last March and then got the all clear to be able to play thanks to FIFA and the help. But I do think that his experience and I do think his leadership quality, and it's not a surprise to see him going straight into the starting 11, will be interesting. But the stat that stood out to me more than anything about this Tunisia team is if you think about the last World Cup they competed in, they got knocked out right in the group stage, conceded 1 goal in the group stage. Did they not beat France in that World Cup as well? Yeah, they did, right? So it's a quality team that will cause a lot of problems here, and I think adding players like Rani Khedira is only going to help them improve.
And a bit like what we spoke to Mbizo earlier on in the show, that obviously Tunisia and Morocco, great rivals, aren't they, in North African football? They'll have seen the success of Morocco and thought, well, we want a piece of that. This is a team that we've always gone up against in the past.
Yeah, I think there's a hint of desperation about Tunisia right now, because when you look at what's happening in and around them, a lot of their North African neighbors, it almost feels like football is leaving them behind. They play football of the Stone Ages. They're a very defensive side, and that's to your point about why they don't give up many goals. They're brilliant when it comes to qualifying for African football and the African Cup of Nations, but when it comes to the World Cup, this is a different Tunisia side. Some of their golden generation players, Rabi Khazri, who scored in World Cups, the 2018 World Cup,
the winner against
lit
France.
it up. 2022 against France as well. One player that actually played against, Youssouf Maksani, not a main fixture in this Tunisian side. And I go back to something that happened after the African Cup of Nations. Their talisman, released in the midfield, their attacking creator in Hannibal Mejbri, he called out the federation. He called out every single player and said, wake the hell up. It's not good enough, or else we're going to get hammered at the World Cup. Hence, Lamouche comes in.
I love what you're saying there. And you know what, listen, the World Cup's so beautiful, Adam, right? We all love it, the history of the World Cup. But the fact that so many nations now from different continents are being able to qualify opens up my eyes. Let's talk about Africa real quickly. I know we've not got much time here. But I actually went into that Brazil-Morocco game expecting to watch Brazil and be entertained by Brazil, thinking FIFA World Cup, Brazil are going to turn it on. I just couldn't stop talking about Morocco after that game and the quality they've got, the depth they've got. And then you look at what happened in that game today, obviously, Ecuador going up against Ivory Coast. I was actually going into that game thinking that we were going to be talking heavy about Ecuador. Ivory Coast are the team we're talking about the most. I wonder if Tunisia is recognising a bit of a trend here in this World Cup, that African football has a real chance with this whole new reshuffling of the tournament to put African football on a map. I mean, Morocco did it back in the last World Cup. They got to a semi-final. Are we getting closer to seeing an African team potentially win it? I think most of these African teams who go into this competition are not there to just participate. They're there to break records. They're there to compete. And at some point, real soon, we're going to see an African champion.
Yeah, for sure. Time for a short break here on Golazo Matchnight. 48 nations. We'll focus more on Sweden's very expensive attacking duo of Victor Gyökeres and Alexander Isak next.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me. Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events. It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days, with the entire nation hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion.
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
If I look crazy, it's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. They're not like us. We need to get out of here now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And relive the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it?
Tell me, can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
I lost my dad and my aunt.
What aren't you telling me?
I'll never know what you've gone through, but I'm sure your dad would want you to be happy.
I will not lose the company that my husband started. I want success. Get it for me.
This business will bleed you dry.
Dad, I'm playing on the house's money now.
No, you're playing with the devil's money.
What's the plan here?
Gonna blow!
Yeah, well, I'm just getting started.
Landman. All episodes now streaming only on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Golazo Matchnight, 48 nations. Let's focus on Sweden's attacking duo of Viktor Gyökeres and Alexander Isak. Now our friends at SofaScore have put together this graphic for us comparing the two. Certainly both very expensive, joining Liverpool and Arsenal last summer for over $250 million combined. Isak was the British record transfer when he moved from Newcastle to Anfield.
Got the same amount of money in his new contract.
I wish.
15
I wish.
million.
Do you think, though, Ian, that these two can, because we have seen it in the past, great strikers or attacking players are brilliant on their own, but when you put them together, it doesn't always work out. Do you think these two can play together successfully?
I do, because they're different kinds of players, right? Different profiles, as they use in this term and new generation of scouting. It's different profiles. Yeah, listen, obviously Gyökeres impressed us at Arsenal Football Club. The way he went to the football club, I thought he was going to be an out-and-out goal scorer. I thought that's why they signed him, to be the goal scorer, to win them titles. But actually he brought a hell of a lot more. The ability to invite midfielders to join in the attack. The ability to take the pressure off the wide players. I mean, Saka in particular shines more. Odegaard shines more. Declan Rice shines more. Why? Because Gyökeres brings so much presence that defensive players and midfielders are so concerned about where he goes. Let's look at the profile of a Gyökeres. He's not necessarily a quick player, right? And actually, if you break down his statistics, Adam, they're shocking. They're not good enough. Gives up possession of the ball, pretty slow player, not great on the dribble, but what he does do is hold up possession of the ball excellently well to invite players to join in the attack. He's excellent at being able to get into that penalty area when it matters most, and he scores important goals. I think he's a better finisher than Alexander Isak as well. I think he's the type of player that you get him a real good opportunity, and albeit that he missed a lot at Arsenal this season, I think you're going to see him have a better campaign for Arsenal next year. And he was one of the reasons why Arsenal won and got to a Champions League final. Great addition, wonderful player, and I think he's going to get better and better. So yes, I do think they can play together.
Michael, what about Alexander Isak? Obviously a very difficult season for him. He had injuries, out of form for Liverpool, nowhere near lived up to the fee paid and the expectation given the quality we saw from this guy at Newcastle. Now that he's fit and getting an opportunity to play at a World Cup, do you think he can get back to that level that we saw before?
I think this can be a transformative World Cup for him, and the reason why I say that is I watched the recent friendly that they had against Norway, where the rest of the team, their minds were already on the plane here in North America. They were pretty much in training camp mode. They got hammered. Isak, though, comes off the bench, and Graham Potter whispered sweet nothings in his ear, and it was that thing and that vision that we see in a lot of strikers of seeing the ball go off your foot and into the back of the net. And getting that muscle memory back, that's going to be the most important thing for him. It was so unfortunate because one of the last goals he scored, I think it was the last goal he scored before he went injured with a broken leg for Liverpool, was a really good combination with Florian Wirtz. And a lot of Liverpool fans are probably thinking, wait a second, this is why we paid the big bucks for. And we've seen at World Cups where it's a chance at redemption for a lot of players. You think of players that have come back from injuries at major tournaments. I can think of one, Fenomeno. R9 blew out his knee ahead of a major international tournament. A lot of people doubting, does he still have the quality? I think Alexander Isak has a major opportunity. I'm not saying he's going to be Ronaldo at this World Cup. I'm just saying he can be lethal again for the Swedish national team and Graham Potter.
You've quietened a Newcastle fan down there. He looks uninterested in the conversation you're having right now. Listen, people are frustrated with Alexander Isak, Newcastle fans. Frustrated because he left the football club, Adam Hunt included.
Happy with that money.
Take the money. Liverpool fans are frustrated because he was injured. And he missed 33 games. It's an insane amount of games. They're also frustrated because they had a disappointing season. But Sweden might be the benefactor from all of that. Missing the games gives him time to recuperate. Now he's fresh. Now he's looking to impress. Now he's looking. This is his pre-season begin right now for next campaign for Liverpool. I will be very shocked if this guy does not score multiple goals for Sweden in this competition. And I'll be very surprised if he doesn't then take that form on to be fantastic for Liverpool Football Club next season. Is he a better finisher than Gyökeres? No. Is he a better footballer than Gyökeres? I think yes. I think he's got so many different ways that he can play and perform. Speed, position, 1v1, finishing. He's got a lot of strings to his bow. So Liverpool fans will be watching this very closely, but I think the ones who will benefit from the injuries, the inconsistency, will be Sweden. And Graham Potter. Graham Potter's been great for this guy. Play them both. Let them both score in a game like this. Let them both build their confidence. Because if Sweden get through the group, Adam, who wants to play against that duo up top?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if Sweden are going to have success in the World Cup, if they're going to get out of their group and then push on through the knockout phase, they're going to have those two scoring goals. They can't do it without them because, they, as we said earlier on, they've got some weaknesses in other positions. Great stuff today, guys. It's been really fun. Thanks for watching Golazo Match Night 48 Nations. We have got plenty more coming up here on Golazo Network for you after this short break.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries.